In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 NHL games happening on January 17th, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 NHL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Minnesota Wild versus Buffalo Sabres. The Minnesota Wild head to the KeyBank Center on Saturday to take on the Buffalo Sabres in an early local start that could feel a little strange for the visitors. This spot puts a slumping Minnesota group against a Buffalo side that, frankly, has been feeling pretty good about itself lately. On the Minnesota side, the recent form tells a clear story. They just lost to the Jets and the Devils, and they have a date with the Maple Leafs coming up next, so the schedule is not exactly relaxing. They have dropped 5 of their last 6 games, and while this is still a talented roster, it is playing like a group stuck in a rough patch rather than one about to explode. To make things tougher, they are missing 2 core offensive pieces, Matt Boldy and Joel Eriksson Ek, who have piled up 51 and 32 points. That is a big chunk of their scoring removed from the lineup, and it is hard to pretend it does not matter. Buffalo, on the other hand, has been moving in the opposite direction. They beat the Flyers and the Canadiens recently. They face the Hurricanes next, and they have taken 5 of their last 6 and 8 of their last 10 overall. That is not just hot, that is the kind of stretch where a team starts to believe it can roll anyone if it sticks to its game. One of the engines behind that surge has been Tage Thompson, who is on a 6-game point streak and is coming off a wild night against Montreal with 3 goals and 2 assists. When a top-line forward is producing like that, it changes how every shift feels, both for his team and for the opponent that has to chase him around. Here is the thing, the Wild are not some lost cause. The price on them is appealing if you look at talent alone, and you can absolutely argue that, on their best night, they can skate with Buffalo. The issue is that their defense has been getting tagged repeatedly, almost like it keeps taking one hit after another, and they have not shown much sign of snapping out of it yet. Combine that with an early start on the East Coast, an 11:30 a.m. local time game for Minnesota, and you have a setting that usually tilts toward the home side. The Sabres are used to these earlier afternoon starts, so the rhythm is normal for them, while the Wild are more likely to need a bit of time to get their legs under them. In goal, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is slated to start for Buffalo, and his recent run has matched the team's momentum. He has won 6 of his last 7 starts, with a 2.59 goals against average and a .904 save percentage on the season. Nothing about those numbers screams brick wall, but paired with the Sabres' current confidence and the Wild's missing forwards, it is more than steady enough. Buffalo has also been strong on home ice, and when you mix that with an early puck drop, it feels like you are stacking a few subtle edges on the same side. Honestly, if you have been backing Buffalo over this heater, you have probably built a nice little cushion by now. The idea here is simple. Keep riding the same train while it is still moving instead of trying to get clever and jump in front of it just because it has to slow down eventually. If they finally stumble while you are still on board, you are likely giving back only a small slice of what they already earned for you. Given how they are performing at both ends right now, and how flat Minnesota has looked, it makes more sense to keep leaning toward the Sabres in this matchup. As our first pick for this matchup, the Buffalo Sabres money line is our full game side pick. Minnesota is averaging 3.06 goals per game and is converting on 22.3% of its power plays. Defensively, the Wild are allowing 2.77 goals per game and killing 76.7% of opposing power plays. That profile suggests an offense that can produce in spurts, especially with the man advantage, but also a penalty kill that can be a little leaky. On the Buffalo side, the numbers tilt slightly higher on offense and slightly looser on defense. The Sabres are averaging 3.26 goals per game and are cashing in on 19.4% of their power play chances. Defensively, they are allowing 3.11 goals per game while killing off 83.3% of opponent power plays. So you basically have 2 teams that can score, one that is sharper on the kill, and another that has a better power play but a softer penalty kill. Let me explain why that does not automatically scream high-scoring shootout. Minnesota's attack is missing Boldy and Eriksson, two of the players that normally help push their goal totals higher. That alone can drag their offensive ceiling down a bit, especially at 5-on-5. Add in the recent form of Luke Cohn, who has been stringing together wins and respectable numbers, and Buffalo's defensive side starts to look more stable than the raw goals per game average suggests. You also have the early start factor, which quietly matters for totals. Early games, especially for the traveling team playing at what feels like morning body clock time, can lead to slower starts, simpler systems, and fewer end-to-end rushes. Teams often keep things cleaner, shorter shifts, fewer risky passes, at least until they fully wake up. That kind of tempo, combined with missing wild scores and a confident Sabres goalie, fits more naturally with a game that stays under rather than one that turns into a track meet. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Seattle Kraken versus Utah Mammoth. The Seattle Kraken head to the Delta Center on Saturday to face the Utah Mammoth in an interesting Western Conference matchup between the 6th and 7th seeds. Two teams that share similar spots in the standings, but they are absolutely not sharing similar momentum right now. Seattle comes into this one in a rough stretch. They have lost 4 of their last 5 games and 3 of their last 4 away from home. That kind of run can wear on a group, especially when you are living out of hotels and trying to rediscover your offensive rhythm on the road. Part of the issue is pretty straightforward. The Kraken rank 30th in total shots and 26th in goals per game this season. When you are not generating many chances and not finishing the ones you do create, it becomes exhausting to keep trying to win tight, low-margin games. The save percentage sitting at .903 on the season is actually respectable, so the problem is not purely in net, it is that the skaters are not giving themselves enough breathing room. On the other side, Utah is trending in the kind of direction that builds confidence. They have beaten the Maple Leafs and the Stars, they have the Flyers up next, and they have taken 5 of their last 6 overall. You also see it in the simple snapshot. They have won 4 of their last 5, which is the sort of run that makes the locker room feel loose and upbeat. This will be their 6th straight home game, so there is a comfort factor too. Same rink, same routines, same surroundings. Meanwhile, Seattle will be playing its 5th consecutive game on the road, and even players who love the grind will admit that those stretches can feel long. Utah's defensive profile really jumps off the page. They allow only 25.5 shots per game and rank 6th in the league by giving up just 2.75 goals per game. That combination of shot suppression and limited damage on the scoreboard is exactly what gives an offensively challenged opponent headaches. Karel Vejmelka has been a big part of that, with a save percentage over 90% in 5 of his last 6 starts. Add in an 80.7% penalty kill that sits near the top of the league, and you get a group that is very comfortable in its own zone. Compare that to Seattle's penalty kill at 70.7%, which is last in the NHL, and the gap in defensive reliability is massive. It is not hard to picture the Kraken struggling to find the back of the net against a team that limits both shot volume and clean looks. Form-wise, Utah has been the better side throughout this recent stretch. They are 5 wins and 1 loss in their last 6 games and are coming off a big home win against the Stars. Seattle, on the other hand, is 1 win and 4 losses in its last 5 games, and the offense simply has not clicked. There is also a weird early start element here, which usually does not help the traveling team that is already fighting its rhythm and confidence. The Mammoth have allowed 2 or fewer goals in 6 of their last 8 games, so their defensive standards have climbed at just the right time. The home team has won all 4 meetings between the Mammoth and Kraken, and while that kind of trend can always break, it fits with how these two are moving at the moment, one team stabilizing at home and another searching for answers on the road. As our first pick for this matchup, the Utah Mammoth money line is our full game side pick. The Kraken are averaging 2.74 goals per game and are scoring on 23.7% of their power play opportunities. Defensively, they are allowing 2.85 goals per game and killing just 70.7% of their opponent's power plays. So even though their goals against number is under 3, the penalty kill is leaky, and that often leads to clusters of goals against rather than steady trickles. Utah's numbers lean slightly higher on offense and tight on defense. They are averaging 3.06 goals per game and scoring on 15.2% of their power plays. Defensively, they allow 2.75 goals per game and kill 80.7% of their opponent's power plays. So you have one team with the more efficient power play and weaker kill, and the other with the stronger 5-on-5 defense and more reliable kill, which creates a push and pull that can actually encourage special team swings. Let me explain how that can tilt toward more scoring overall, even with good defensive metrics. Seattle's power play is a real weapon at over 23%, and that can keep them in games even when their even strength production is lagging. Utah's penalty kill is strong, but when you give a unit that good enough looks over 60 minutes, they usually cash in at least once. On the flip side, the Kraken's penalty kill being last in the league is not just a cosmetic issue. It means that when they take penalties, the odds are stacked against them. Even with Utah's modest power play success rate, facing the worst kill in the league can act like a booster, turning average special teams into productive ones. Both teams sit around that middle ground where they are not explosive every night, but their averages still land them in a combined range that leans toward a decent goal count. Seattle at 2.74 and Utah at 3.06 puts the expectation near 6 goals on a typical night. When you factor in the shaky Seattle kill, the strong offensive stretches Utah has shown at home, and the possibility of fatigue showing up as late penalties from the road team, it is not hard to see this game reaching or pushing past a standard total. Even if the Kraken struggle to score at even strength, their power play can chip in, and Utah's offense has been in a good enough groove to do the heavier lifting if necessary. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Florida Panthers versus Washington Capitals. Washington comes into this matchup in a bit of a stutter-step rhythm, alternating wins and losses over their last 7 games, so if that pattern holds, they are technically due for a win here. Patterns like that are mostly noise, but they do hint at a team that has not let things spiral for too long at a time. At home, the Capitals have been respectable, sitting at 14 wins, 9 losses, and 3 overtime losses in their own building. Florida, by comparison, is 10 wins and 9 losses on the road, perfectly capable but not exactly steamrolling away from home. That small edge in home comfort matters a bit more when you remember that the Panthers lost to Carolina last night and roll straight into this one on a back-to-back. Fatigue does not always show up on the scoreboard right away, but it tends to creep into battles along the boards, decision-making, and line changes as the game wears on. Now, Washington has not exactly been lighting it up lately. They have scored 2 regulation goals or fewer in 4 of their last 5, which is not what you want from a team that is supposed to be the solid offensive group in this matchup. The funny part is, even with that sputtering offense, they have largely managed to avoid extended losing streaks, doing a decent job of limiting back-to-back losses. That tells you there is still some backbone and pride in that room, even if the execution has been inconsistent. On the other side, Florida is dealing with a big problem that has nothing to do with scheduling. They remain without their 2 best players, Alexander Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk. That strips away a huge chunk of their scoring, play driving, and identity. So you have a tired team on the road, missing its 2 biggest stars, against a home side that, while frustrating at times, has been fairly good at answering poor efforts with stronger ones in the next outing. Put all that together, and it is not hard to see why leaning toward Washington on home ice makes sense here. You are not backing a flawless team, you are backing the slightly fresher and healthier one in a pretty reasonable spot. As our first pick for this matchup, the Washington Capitals money line is our full game side pick. These teams have already played twice this season, and both matchups turned into high-scoring affairs, with final scores of 5-3 and 6-3. That is not a tiny sample, but it does show that when these two see each other, the game has a habit of opening up. Florida, especially, has leaned into high-scoring games lately, whether they like it or not. 3 of their last 4 have gone over the game total, including that brutal 9-1 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes on Friday night. Their team defensive play has been rough. They are allowing 3.3 goals against per game, which sits 27th in the NHL. That is not just a bad week, that is a season-long issue. Washington, on the other hand, is still a solid offensive team on paper, averaging 3.23 goals per game. Even with the recent stretch of lower regulation outputs, they have enough talent to punish a fragile defensive structure. When you match an offense like that against a defense giving up more than 3 goals per game, you are automatically nudging toward a higher total outcome. There is also the discipline angle. The Panthers are the 5th most penalized team in the NHL, which means they spend more time than they should killing penalties. The more time you give a capable offensive group like Washington on the man advantage, the more chances you create for quick momentum swings and extra goals. Even without Barkov and Tkachuk, Florida's games have not exactly gone quiet. That 9-1 loss is the perfect example of how their defensive issues can turn a night into a scorefest. Given the recent history between these teams, the way Florida's games have been playing out, and Washington's offensive potential against a shaky defense, it is completely reasonable to expect another high-scoring matchup here. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Carolina Hurricanes versus New Jersey Devils. The Carolina Hurricanes roll into the Prudential Center in solid form, coming off a win against the Panthers, a loss to the Blues, and with 5 wins in their last 7 overall. The schedule is not crushing them, the confidence is still there, and they know exactly who they are as a team at this point in the season. New Jersey is in a more uneven rhythm. The Devils have split their last 8 games, mixing wins over the Wild and the Kraken with losses that keep stopping any real surge before it gets going. You can talk yourself into them on home ice, and honestly, that is usually where people start. Young team, home crowd, some high-end talent. Here is the thing, though, whenever you get a strong team like Carolina at a softer price, it is hard not to lean their way. This is one of the better clubs in the league, and you do not often see them sitting in ranges that feel this accessible. There is also the very simple head-to-head story. The Hurricanes have taken 7 of the last 8 meetings with the Devils. In the 2 games this season, they have outscored New Jersey 9-4, so it has not exactly been coin flip hockey. 6 of those 7 wins were by 2 or more goals, which suggests it has not just been bounces, it has been real control. If you want to back the Devils here, you probably need a sweeter number to justify stepping in front of that kind of recent matchup history. Carolina's combination of recent form, overall quality, and dominance in this specific series makes it very natural to stay with the Canes at this kind of price. As our first pick for this matchup, the Carolina Hurricanes money line is our full game side pick. Carolina is averaging 3.4 goals per game and is converting on 21.6% of its power play chances. Defensively, the Hurricanes are allowing 2.94 goals per game and killing 79.6% of opposing power plays. So you have a team that scores plenty and still gives up close to 3 a night on average. On the New Jersey side, the offensive numbers are lower, but still meaningful. The Devils are averaging 2.62 goals per game and are scoring on 20.7% of their power plays. Defensively, they are allowing 3.09 goals per game and killing just 76.7% of their opponents' power plays. That is a defense that leaks enough to keep totals interesting, especially against a strong attack. Let me explain why this leans toward a higher scoring script. Carolina's offense is already strong at 5-on-5, and when you give a power play running over 21% extra chances against a penalty kill under 80%, you create a steady stream of scoring opportunities. On the other side, New Jersey's own power play is not weak either. It sits just over 20%, and Carolina's penalty kill is good but not airtight. So both units can threaten with the man advantage, and neither penalty kill is at an elite shutdown level. You also have the simple math of the averages. The Hurricanes are around 3.5 goals for and just under 3 against. The Devils sit a bit above 2.5 for and just above 3 against. Put those profiles together, and a typical night between these two types of teams usually lives in a range that sits close to or over a standard posted total. Even if Carolina controls more of the game, their style still encourages pace, shots, and chances. New Jersey might not be as efficient, but they can chip in enough, especially on the power play, to help push the number upward. So the mix of strong Carolina scoring, New Jersey's weaker defensive numbers, and both power plays being credible makes a high-scoring outcome a very reasonable expectation here. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Nashville Predators versus Vegas Golden Knights. The Nashville Predators head into T-Mobile Arena to face the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday. And this is one of those matchups where both sides are feeling pretty good about themselves lately. Nashville has picked up wins over the Oilers and Avalanche, and they have taken 4 of their last 5 games overall, so they are not exactly sneaking into this one quietly. Vegas has answered with an even stronger heater, stacking 6 straight wins, including victories over the Maple Leafs and Kings, and looking every bit like a team that knows it has the upper hand on home ice. On the surface, it makes perfect sense that Vegas is favored in their own building. They have been flexing their form all week, and T-Mobile is usually a tough place for visiting teams to settle in. Most people glance at a 6-game winning streak at home and shrug and say, sure, that is the side you lay a price with. Here is the thing, though, Nashville is not coming in as some cold underdog just hoping to survive. They are on a heater of their own, and that stretch includes a road win over the Avalanche, which is the kind of result that usually grabs your attention if you care about how a team handles tough environments. The Predators have won 3 straight games overall, and all 3 of those came as underdogs, so anyone backing them recently has already been rewarded with plus money tickets cashing. That matters psychologically too, because a group that keeps beating the number tends to skate with a bit more belief, especially when they see another plus price hanging there. There is also the recent history between these specific teams to consider. Nashville has taken 4 of the last 6 meetings against Vegas, and that run includes a win on New Year's Eve. So even though Vegas is on the longer current winning streak, the head-to-head story leans toward the Predators in the not-too-distant past. You never want to chase trends blindly, but when a team has already shown it can beat this opponent multiple times, including in meaningful spots, it gives a little extra weight to the underdog case. From a betting angle, getting roughly 2 times your money on a team that has won 4 of 5 overall, 3 straight as a dog, and 4 of the last 6 in the matchup is going to tempt a lot of people. It is not that Vegas does not deserve respect. They absolutely do. It is that the price tilts the decision toward the value side rather than the comfort side. Honestly, this is the classic situation where you can either pay a premium for the hot favorite, or you can live with the risk and let the hot underdog try to keep your bankroll growing. As our first pick for this matchup, the Nashville Predators money line is our full game side pick. The Predators are averaging 2.83 goals per game and are converting on 20% of their power play opportunities. Defensively, they are allowing 3.28 goals per game and are killing 80% of their opponents' power plays. So you are dealing with an offense that sits just under 3 per game, a defense that sits just over 3, and special teams that are steady but not overwhelming on either side. On the other side, the Golden Knights are averaging 3.3 goals per game and are scoring on 27.3% of their power play chances. Defensively, they are allowing 3 goals per game while killing 81.5% of their opponents' power plays. That gives them a bit more punch on the man advantage and a slightly tighter goals against number, but they are still in that range where a typical night hovers around medium scoring rather than pure fireworks. Let me explain how that can still lean toward a lower scoring outcome overall, even with a strong power play sitting on one bench. Nashville's average of 2.83 goals per game is not the profile of a run-and-gun team that is constantly turning games into track meets. Their defense allowing 3.28 per night looks a little loose on paper, but the penalty kill at 80% suggests they are not collapsing whenever they go short-handed. On the other side, Vegas has the more dangerous power play, yet their goals against sitting at 3 per game with an 81.5% penalty kill points to a structure that can still clamp down for stretches when needed. When both teams know they are in good form and both are coming in on winning runs, you often see a slightly tighter start. Nobody wants to be the side that hands momentum away early, so the first period especially can feel more like a chess match than a wild back and forth. That kind of rhythm can keep the total from running away, even if there are short bursts where the skill shows. The special teams numbers also do not scream constant scoring swings. A 20% power play for Nashville and an 80% kill, paired with Vegas at 27.3% on the power play and 81.5% on the kill, set up a scenario where both sides can threaten, but neither is facing a disastrously weak unit. So yes, goals can come from the man advantage, but the math does not demand that the game explode past a standard number. Put all that together and you get a picture of a matchup where the averages for both clubs land near that middle ground, and the situational factors can nudge things toward a more contained scoreline rather than a wild one. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.